Yes.
Welcome to the Friendlyjordies podcast, where we were discussing if spam is worse than corned beef, and we came to the conclusion that they're both pretty bad.
Yeah.
Can review. What do you think about it, guys?
Yeah.
Now we're even putting into the main podcast, just us flailing ideas at you.
Yeah.
Nah, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Well, look, what we actually will do is give you a preview to a video that's coming up soon, because we have a lot that has happened recently.
That
it's just been. This is just turning into Warhammer 2.0.
Yeah.
But you know what? I will say this, and I think that Mislav will disagree, but I honestly think that this is more fucked than Warhammer.
I do disagree.
And let me just tell you how bad Mislav's opinion of Warhammer is if he thinks that this is slightly less worse than Warhammer.
I'm going to shoot from the hip.
I don't know where we go from here, but pretty much we are making, I think, the feat, the creme de la creme of Friendlyjordies is the vlog that we have been filming over the last 2 days. It has turned into an ordeal. You know what it was as well? This is the really ironic part about all of it. We were trying to make the first fast food in human history. After releasing that British video on Monday, we just realised everybody in the comments is talking about jellied eel. It just took off by itself. It was a meme in itself. Yeah. And Miss and I'm telling you, this is the phrase that we both came to. Because I rang up Miss. This actually happened. I rang him up at like 1 a.m. at night after like falling asleep, and then just woke up and like, jelly deal. Miss, we're going to have to make jelly deal. And then he was just at the same time waking up and like, I was just about to call you to say the exact same thing.
It actually happened. He was like, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, me neither, man. What the fuck is going on?
Can we give them a little bit of a taser because it's in the fridge?
I think we can. I think we can.
Because we got a lot of...
so scary.
Yeah, we got a lot of sort of attention from the video.
Well, you got to like first...
it's so much worse.
It looks horrible, dude. It looks horrible.
So much worse. Because of the... Are you going to show them? You're going to show them. Get focused in on that. This is the preview. Yeah. Here's a little preview for you all. Look at this. It's called jellied eel.
I don't know if you know, it's not supposed to be brown.
I don't know if they can hear you, but he's saying it's not supposed to be brown.
Yeah, look at it. You put so much spice on it. It's spinning in spice.
I know I put too much spice.
Well,
I fucked up the spice.
Personally, for me, more spice is better than less spice.
I put way too much spice.
Ali, sniff that. What do you reckon? What's the first thing that
Jeez, that does look fucked.
I don't smell it.
Does it smell like a lake?
What I'll say is, this is what we noticed. This smells like a lake. I'm pretty sure that the reason that lakes have their smell is because of eels.
Dude, I don't smell shit.
Ugh, smells earthy.
Well, are we having it or what?
No, we're not having it.
Oh,
I think no, we should. It said leave it overnight, but also, not only did I put too much spice, I think we put too much gelatin, so it's going to be like, rock hard jelly.
Really? Is that what happens?
It looks like it.
What's everyone saying in the comments?
They're saying
yuck.
Scuff supper.
Throw
looks
it in the
like
bin.
Sick.
You have to eat it by a whale lamp. Agreed.
That's true. Tell us something we don't know.
Breakfast of Lords. Invest in jellied eel. Fuck, is that a rotting corpse? Pretty much.
Yep, that's all true.
All right, you guys.
You know what's fucked as well? This says so much about Britain. Jellied eel is their version of Wheat Beaks. That's where they get their energy from.
No, it's their version of Vegemite. Do you know how we kind of accept that?
Yeah, true.
They know that it's not good.
You know what I also found out about it? You know why jellied eel is a thing?
Yeah. Well, I know all about it.
Okay, give me the history of jellied eel.
Because they pulled...
And also, just let us know in the comments, would you be interested in a history of jellied eel? Because I am, and I just want an excuse to look into it.
And I've seen it today. It's not that interesting.
Really?
Hey, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Mislav is obsessed.
Yeah.
As soon as I came, which was early today, he's just been watching jellied eel videos.
Yeah.
And I know so much about it already.
Yeah.
I can give you a history lesson as well.
Yeah, they pulled them out of the Thames and served them at markets, and they have a natural gelatin. So that, of course, being then, they were like, oh yeah, well, food. There's no other alternative other than to boil it, is there? And if someone's like fried, they're like, burn them at the stake. That's when we use fire. You know,
Yes.
so basically they boiled them and it naturally created like a natural jelly. They just threw eels in a pot and then it turned to jelly and they're like, whatever, here you go, one pittance.
And they liked it so much that River Thames does not have eels anymore.
They ate all the eels out of the Thames.
Can you imagine like something that tastes that bad? I'm guessing. I haven't tried it, but let's be real. It would be bad.
Yeah.
They overfished that. Like, how desperate do you need to be?
But the other thing is, there probably isn't, because, look, I would imagine that eels can put up with really extreme conditions, but not as extreme as the Thames. The Thames is the Ganges, but you know how the Ganges is like, it has the magic of life in it, but the Thames does not have the magic of life.
But you know what? You know what's weird? I was watching Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, that's one point. No magical properties, just filthy.
It's incorrect, yeah.
No, but you know what? Apparently it started because I can't remember. It was just like something along the lines of the king or whatever was just like taking some kind of swim or something in the Thames. It'd be like, what's this? One of them sea snakes slithered past me leg. That's bad luck, it is. And then he demanded, by decree of the king, that ye start eating eels to get rid of the dangerous surplus of eels in the Thames. Apparently there was just an excess of eels. That's why they started eating it. So it was just like, commoners, fill your gob with that. Like, yeah, watch me, lord. Jellied.
Bony.
So it's like they're
Cooked in bone too.
That's
We've got one of those too, isn't there? Like, what's that fish that is highly is encouraged to overfish?
The carp.
The carp, yeah. The
Oh. Carp in the Darling.
But is that's introduced?
But you can't eat that. You can just use that as
No,
fertilizer.
you can eat it.
No, I don't think you can.
Dude, you go to any Asian supermarket, they've got it.
Really?
People eat
Carp?
No, you can't
Yeah.
eat carp.
I'm pretty sure carp is just ugly
it.
koi.
Do you know, like in Europe, what we have in the Murray Darling is the European carp, not the Asian one. In Europe, it's like any other fish. They like it.
Is that right?
Okay, well, that just shows another reason why I'm really glad that I'm not French. I really don't want to be eating
More
carp.
than you know. More than you know.
The Americans have Asian carp infested in their waters.
Yes.
Oh,
That's their cane toads.
Yeah, yeah. that's
Really?
the cane
Yeah.
toad.
Well, actually, it's just their carp.
They like catfish. Is that like a cousin of the carp?
Well, in the way
No,
that
catfish
the
is
snapper
not
is a cousin
of a
of
carp.
Okay, I don't know.
catfish.
Catfish is whatever their swamp fish, right? They don't mind catfish, but carp is just exploding in population and it's
Really?
taking over.
But you
I
can
think
eat
it's
it.
taken over like Lake Michigan. And when we talk about like U.S. Water bodies, they're the size of like countries. They're huge.
Yeah, they are.
I don't understand why they don't just chuck herpes at them. They should do the same thing in the Darling.
Well, they're doing
And they
the
should
same
stop
thing.
stealing water from it. But, yeah.
Have you heard about there's a proposal to in Australia in the Murray Darling, there's a proposal to like introduce a particular virus
No.
that only affects but
Can't because they kill all the biomass.
yeah, but I don't know if that's a good idea.
No, it's not.
I think it is a really
just
good idea.
overfish them, man. Like
You can't overfish it.
Why can't- look, I'll
What?
take as much carp. Like I'll make it into dog food.
Are they introduced?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Why?
were introduced.
Why
Yeah,
would
they're
they-
called European
You know
carp.
what?
Why
you
were
know
they
why?
introduced?
They were introduced because some Europeans in early days came here and they were like, I miss fishing the European
Oh,
carp.
for fuck's
So they just like put in a few so they could fish, and
No.
just completely.
Dude, I watched
infested.
a
Almost as
documentary.
fucked as jellied eel.
I watched a documentary on cane toads, and don't know if you guys know this, but they're a big problem too.
Did that documentary have some toothless hick singing at the end? Cane toad, you coming? Cane toad, you
It
coming?
had toothless hicks throughout, being like, "Hey, they're everywhere. They're in the bajongas, in the malarkeys, in
Okay,
the
so you
taste
just
voices."
watched the Australian Simpsons episode.
No, I really did watch a documentary.
Hey, Simpsons is a documentary.
It is.
Michael
That,
Good
Moore-
documentary.
that is a documentary
It
of
predicts
Australia.
so much shit.
Michael Moore reviewed
They're
it.
right. That is our flag. Hmm?
Michael Moore reviewed it, the doco. It was good. It was very alarming.
Very, very alarming. Okay.
Anyway, let's
do you
just-
want to miss? What we should do is, we want to move on to like some of the heady shit. But before we
Jellied
do that,
eel.
I want to hear the jellied eel story real quick. Like what happened
Jordan,
today.
you say it. This is just a preview. For
Well,
all
look,
you.
we started we thought, because it was supposed to be the first fast food ever made, we thought it might be a little bit slower than McDonald's. But I think McDonald's on average takes about 3 minutes to serve. Ours takes 3 days. It'll be 3 days that we have gone to the lengths of trying something that we know is going to taste bad.
Yeah. I think I fucked it up, so I think that's why it's going to be bad, but we'll see.
I think it'll be bad because it's boiled eel that is gelatinated in its own juices. I think that might have something to do with it.
It's not even, he put extra gelatin in there.
Yeah, and he put extra spices in there. If anything, you improved the recipe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, dude, the spices, trust me, are going to be good. Like that's what's going to save that thing.
I put too much.
Don't hate on spices. But so what happened today? Well, because Jordan was freaked. Jordan called me this afternoon because he was freaking out.
Yeah.
Why were you freaking out, Jordan?
Well, look, we went to the fish markets thinking that you could just buy a filleted eel there, surely.
Yeah.
Because we assumed it was seafood, forgetting that the Thames is not ocean. And so...
That's right.
I don't know. They all looked at us strangely when we went to the fish markets, and they were just like, what, freshwater fish? You're going to ask for a unicorn next year, Al? And so they didn't have any freshwater stuff there at all. And I get upset when I see the crabs that are bound in their little nips or whatever. Anyway, we came across one guy that was a fan. He was just like, no way, you're Maz. Bruss, come here. I know where to get it, but you're not going to like it.
He's not lying, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And he tells Miss about this
He gives me a
secret wet market.
Yeah.
That's just basically next to his house. Of course it would be. There's going to be, look, if you
next
live
to my house.
It is next to your house. It's just right next to the brothel, wet market. Of course, if you are going to be able to buy freshwater eel somewhere in Australia, it's going to have to be the most resembled, like basically just a replica of East End London, which is St. Peter's.
Yeah, which is like the arse end of industrial St. Peter's. The closest thing to water there is the arse end of that fucking river that runs near the airport, you know? Not much living in there.
So you go to the...
He went to the wet market.
Oh,
I went alone.
I get a message first thing in the morning.
Go on.
First thing in the morning, I'm drying out my eyes, and then I just get this message from Mislav going, fuck, it's alive. And I was just like, what? And then he said, the eel. And then I was like, Jesus Christ. And then I rang up and said, don't buy it. For the love of God, don't buy it. And then Mislav was just saying, like, too late. I already haggled with the Chinese lady and got a great price.
That's true. That happened.
How much was it? How much was it?
It was cheap. It was like $22.50.
Well, that's not cheap for
Isn't
one
it?
eel.
Well, I suppose that is pretty expensive. But
You guys are making some dough.
But
It
dude-
makes sense if he says that. What do you mean $22.50, dude? Fish. Oh, because like
No, you're right.
I'm guessing that there's very
Dude,
low
no.
demand for
you know,
them.
No, you know what? You're right. It's not expensive, but like I was buying a prehistoric fish, lake reptile. Like to me, I was like, it was like the next level of like the ultimate fucking.
Oh, you thought you were like $10,000?
Yeah,
for
like for me it was just
half
like,
an egg.
For me it was like the ultimate aquarium. You grab the sea lizard and kill it yourself. Like I thought it was gonna be like $100 because it was such a bizarre experience. I was like,
Wait, have you guys like?
It was so
You've
weird.
never-
He just like
is this
walked into Vietnam.
Yeah.
That was their embassy. I'm sure that is the Vietnamese embassy. It's just this scary sea
no, they were
market.
definitely Chinese.
So and what was
but
it? Just
Oh,
wrapped
yeah.
up in like a plastic bag?
It was fucked, dude. There was,
And also
there
just
was-
like
yeah.
it just shows you how industrial this is. Mislav described it as, quote, the world's saddest aquarium. It's just stacks of live animals sitting there just like hoping for death.
Yes.
And he just walks in and says, do you guys have eels? And her response is like, how many you want? 100?
Yeah. And there was a plastic bag. There was a plastic bag just filled with eels. Just in solitary confinement, going like,
And what was the plastic bag? Had like holes in it and shit for
no.
breathing.
No.
So what was it? It was closed.
Yeah.
With what?
Elastic band.
Jesus.
So there was like a massive plastic bag that was filled with eels,
Yes.
closed with an.
No holes.
Whoa!
Yeah.
In Australia?
In fucking next to my house, basically.
Wow!
And then like a tank.
I just
that was
fucking became Owen Wilson. Wow!
Yeah. A
That's
tank,
all you could say.
like tanks full of lobsters. Like lobsters, like
How much? Actually, how much?
like this many lobsters.
How much? How much were the lobsters?
How much I didn't ask.
Oh,
They probably were
you
cheap.
moron.
We'll go
They
back.
probably
We'll go
would be
back.
cheap.
They probably
Yeah, but
be.
cheap is still $80.
Yeah, but like this many lobsters stacked on top of each other. Imagine the one in the middle, just sort of like, this is gonna get worse before it gets better, and just like crabs. It was just fucked. It was just fucked.
But
Anyway.
the crabs are also in like plastic bags?
No, those
What's
guys.
up with plastic bags? Why can't you just keep like a box of ice or something?
I don't know. It was a plastic bag. It was just fucked, and like I was just like, ugh. It was scary, and I'm like, I wonder if they.
And it was scary for you.
Yeah.
And he's Eastern European, so when he went to the fish markets, and the fish markets is upsetting enough for me, but when he goes in there, and I'm just looking at all of these sad yabbies in like a tray, just thinking about how many I can purchase with my life savings to just chuck in the fucking
Sell that silver, buy
September Park.
yabbies.
Yeah, invest in yabbies. That's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And he's just like picking them out of there, being like, "Yes, look at this one, very good," mwah, and then just chucking them back in. So he's fine in that environment. Like he looked at home in the fish markets, and everyone in the fish markets looks like, those men that lived in that town that is really close to where the dragon lives in The Hobbit. Then they just look extra medieval, like way more medieval than they would have looked in the Middle Ages. Like everyone in the fish markets looks like that, except for there's more Chinese faces.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the place. Mislav looked at home in the fish markets.
And
he was scared of the wet markets.
Yeah. Jordan was explaining it like, because I was just like, come down here. This is because I know that place pretty well. And I'm just like, yeah. And then Jordan's like, how do you know the ins and outs of this operation? Like you are like, do you work here too? Like, it's bizarre.
Look, I'm very at home at fish markets and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But like that plastic bag's a bit much, man.
It was
like,
much.
That's not.
and I asked him, I said, like, listen, do you have any that are like dead already? And she looked at me like I was an idiot. Like she was just like, huh? How many? And I was like, one, just one. And then she gave me my own little plastic bag and she put my friend in there, and it was really weird. But then basically I came here and I knew what had to be done, and Jordan just disappeared out of sight. He bought me like a samurai sword to do the job with, but it's been a full-on day. Like, I won't go into extreme
Was
detail.
this the first time you like slaughtered something?
I think apart from a fish, this is the first time I've slaughtered something. This felt more intense because it's a giant snake.
Yeah.
You know what else was really weird? Just seeing Mislav evolve from a child, because that's all I've ever seen. Just 15 years of being 10. Mm-hmm. And he just evolved in that second from a 10-year-old to a 50-year-old man, while I was just in the corner going, maybe we can buy an aquarium and just put him in there. And then he was just like, what? Mate, if you put this in the lake here, it's from Tasmania. It's not going to live. This is the most humane thing. Just put him in the esky. I'll slice his head off. I should want that death. That's a good death. He was so mature about it. It was so weird.
He's not wrong.
Well, he was definitely right, because I was just going through every scenario, and he was just logically like an adult going through all of them, saying, dude, put that on ice. Yeah. That's the way to go.
Eel is like a very advanced level to slaughter for the first time in your life, because eels are like reptiles. They have reptiles. That same thing of, you know how lizards can like grow limbs and shit?
Yeah.
So you can chop off an eel's head and it will still keep moving for ages.
Yeah, dude.
As we found out.
Yeah. I mean, I had it on ice for a long time. It was bizarre because should I say, or is this like giving too much away?
No, well, this is not the part that we're going to show.
Yeah, true. I mean, it was basically just like chopping the head off was like fine. I was like, see you, mate. And then even gutting it, all good. But then I chopped it in half and sort of cleaned it. And because I took it from an icy environment, which is like sub-zero, to, cold water, which is warm in comparison, the dystrophy. Anyway, the nerves started to go crazy. The fillets became possessed. Wow, the fillets were alive. And
sorry, I just have to put this in. Dome King, as usual, coming up with the cooks. Read Mislav. This is basically like what he'll just be saying on his deathbed. It'll just be him on a roof while it's raining, looking up with his face that does look a lot like the replicant boss in Blade Runner. Just rain, like jerking down his face, just being like, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Tanks full of lobsters. I watched eels slither around in a giant bag.
Little chunks of eels moving even once they've been chopped up on Orion's belt.
You know what? eels can move even after they're cooked. Like they will come out on like a plate or a dish and they'll be moving slightly.
Yeah, well, then I fucking chopped it into pieces following old Terry's fucking recipe of eel pie with a liquor, yeah, on the East End of London. And the fucking chunks were moving. I didn't realize this has changed. It's definitely changed my perspective of like killing and like eating meat. Because I asked Ali, and Ali was like, "Yeah, man. I mean, you can say it," but he was like, "I killed a goat and we fucking chopped it up." And he said they skinned the leg and the leg was there. And then Ali was sitting there and the leg post-mortem started just going doof, doof after.
I have seen with my own eyes, and I'm not kidding. People have seen headless chickens walk.
Yes.
I've seen. It was brutal, and like, look, you've got to take it sometimes.
PSA for any vegans.
I have seen a cow, half of its head was, and it was running.
No.
But that's that's actually different. That's because like whoever was doing it was a fucking moron and didn't know how to like actually slaughter a cow. But that sort of stuff, those are nerves. Like
they're just nerves.
The thing is dead.
But it does.
But I as a kid, I remember like one of the first times I'd seen that shit get slaughtered, and then they were just skinning it like an hour after the deed had been done. There was just a leg of that goat on like one of the chopping boards. And I saw the leg twitching. And I think I was 10 and I freaked out. I thought it was like a horror movie. It was like, hey guys.
It's back.
Hey guys. hey, this one's still. Oh my God. I thought we were going to like now run, abandon the house. Things are like, this is going to be a horror movie.
Well, because I was just
Sandy
sitting.
vegetarian?
Huh? No.
Oh, she doesn't like Sandy. Enjoy, it gets worse. Keep going.
Because I just heard from I was just waiting outside there with the music up. And then my girlfriend rocked up.
Thank God she helped, yeah.
Yeah. Because Miss was sitting there just saying, it's a bit weird me sitting there. And I was just like, okay, wait, I'll just put like my eyes over like this and then I'll just try and film it on a tripod or something. Yeah. I was trying to nerve my way up. Fortunately, my girlfriend came. And she's Vietnamese, so that's just instinct to her.
Yeah.
Like if she probably just would have walked in there and just been like, this eel's still moving.
And, oh, this is a boy.
Seriously.
And so I was just sitting out there. Then I was just talking to Christo on the phone. And this African dude that was just in the lift, Mislav just comes out and is just like, what are you doing? You're missing out on all the action. And they're just like, hang on, TK? And then TK turns around like, Mislav?
Just by complete chance. My life is weird, dude.
So
it's
strange.
On our floor. A guy I used to work with 10 years ago in a Mexican bar. He's just like, hey, man. I was like, hey, dude.
Wait, what's he doing here?
So strange.
His friend lives here.
Oh, okay.
And then they just come into the apartment. I'm out. And so there's just a strange African man, my Vietnamese girl, and a Slav in there with just an apron being like, let's do this. I'm sitting like in a fetal position. I couldn't move. I was so upset.
Just with I'm holding a Japanese samurai sword, basically. To like, come on, man, let's fucking do this.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. It was so everyone around me is an adult except me. And then I hear from the outside, you know, in The Road, there's that scene where they're putting all of the people in that cellar and then they try and get out. And then while they're running away, you can just hear this like, fuck, God damn it. Because they're having to slaughter everyone because they're trying to escape to get the meat.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was hearing from there, from the outside. You just hear this, just this kind of like sound. You could hear it of that sound. And then there's a pause. And then you hear Mislav just go, fuck. And then you hear my girlfriend go, ah! And then there's a pause. And then you hear, chuck it on ice. I don't know what's going on. And then it stops. And then I hear my Vietnamese girlfriend use the classic, who's that Indian comedian that everyone liked?
Russell Peters.
say the classic thing. There's another pause, and then she just says, "Be a man." And Vietnamese cheats kitchen's like, "If you are going to get it, I will." And then he just comes in and then just does the belly.
Yeah.
Thank
Just does it all,
God she
chops
was
it
there.
all up.
Yeah.
Isn't it incredible? Like, I cannot get over the fact that you did it.
No, I did the belly first. That was all fine. It's when the fucking pieces started just becoming
Is that what the
alive
screaming
again.
was?
That was where I was like, what the fuck? It was moving.
Back for revenge.
It was moving, like, fully. So I put it back on ice, and then I was like, oh, it's still moving. And then I was like, look, should I just man up and fucking just do it? And she's like, yeah. And then she was like, be a man. I'm like, she's right. And then just took the moving eel. I was like, just chopped this tiny little piece.
Oh, this is very
But I will say this, though. Mislav did all the research.
I did.
It was a clean cut.
It was totally clean, and it didn't feel any pain. I can tell you that. It was gone.
I just have to say, Mislav has the strangest job on earth. One day it'll just be like, okay, I want you to do a script about Aussie dads. Just give us a bunch of observations about Sting. All right, now I want you to go to a wet market and kill an eel.
All right.
It's usually one or the other, right? You
It's
don't
either a
usually
video
cross that
on
over.
Dave Andrews or a video on Eels.
And my poor African mate was just like, yeah, it's nice to be back in. He's just like, yeah, Australia. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, two sort of just standing there, not talking. I'm there with like a knife and like blood on my hands. I'm like, I'm about to kill an eel. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, you want to help me do it? He's like, get me out of here. And John's sitting outside the fetal position. Like, it's going to be dead soon. It's going to be dead soon. So good.
You know what?
But yeah.
Something is
Dan
just...
Mole says you guys are living the dream.
Yeah, or the nightmare. Nah, like
one of the top comments of all time on Friendlyjordies was, this has to be the most diverse content channel on earth. And I think we've proved it right.
I think we've
We really have.
Yeah.
All right, well,
this is the
on
one.
that note, then we'll move on to one substantive thing. Jordan, I actually want to get your opinion on this. So the last podcast that we did, Miss,
Yeah.
it actually, we got good reviews.
Yep.
By that means Google said that this video is doing slightly better than the rest of the videos.
Yeah.
But one of the most liked comments on that video was when we were talking about, on the last podcast, how Albanese's strategy differs from Bill Shorten's strategy.
Yeah.
One guy commented, which is the top comment on the video, saying, I hate it when... Actually, I'll just read it out. I'll just read it out now. And I wanted to get Jordan's take on it, because it seemed to be...
While you're looking that up, can I just make a really funny point, Jordan, before you go? How good is this? Look, come from my angle, and it's just like two of the greatest thinkers about time.
With that classic epic shot of half of your face. And this time it's personal. The battle for Gaul and the battle for Gordo's heart.
All right.
Ali, you have to pay that.
Hey, I put it up. Why'd you turn it around?
Ali, sorry.
Look
Hey,
at
I did the decor. You think I don't read?
Look at them. Two of our greats.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. That's
so
perfect.
Good.
All right, Jordan.
Yes.
I need you to actually. So the most liked comment on our last video was, "I'm finding it pretty irritating that the people crying about Shorten's method are the same ones who are crying about Albanese's method. I just want LNP gone.
Agreed.
Let me live the dream. The LNP coalition to crumble pieces." What do you
Shout him out.
What do
What's
you
the
think
name?
about his name is Frances. Oh, it's a lady. Her name is Frances Powell.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or name like that, there's confusion. But what do you think about that?
You know what? We were just discussing this. We're doing a video on it now. We noticed that one of the primary tactics that the press uses is whoever is in power, or, the leader of the Labor Party at the very least. The press will always do this. When Kevin Rudd was in power, Julia Gillard, she's very popular. Look at her go. She's outranking Kevin Rudd. Look at that. Who'd have guessed she would when we're giving her constant positive press? I think you should do a leadership spill there. And she did it. What a backstabber. Unbelievable. Look, Kevin Rudd, get back in there. Reclaim your honour. What are you doing? Look, you're more popular than Julia Gillard is, again, because we're giving you positive press. I can't believe this. Yeah. Shorten's in. What happened to Albo? Then Albo just gets in. He's hopeless. Absolutely. Give Tanya a go. What about her? And then Tanya Plibersek gets in. What about the good old days of Shorten? And you know what they're doing? They are constantly vying for leadership changes because they have already sowed into the mind of the Australian public that Labor's extremely unstable, even though after Kevin Rudd's leadership changes, it would have to be one of the most stable parties in the Western world.
That is true, yeah. It's really hard to get rid of someone in the Labor Party now.
Dude. And let's just forget the fact that the Liberals had 3 Prime Ministers in the span of like 3 years and also had the most amount of cabinet changes in parliamentary history. They are clearly the stable ones. So that's what they're always putting up as the narrative. And I think that it is just this constant conga line, I suppose, of trying to get Labor to change its leaders, because they also know that when you're doing that, you are actually dividing the Labor Party because you're forcing them to go into camps and put their support behind someone. Everything that the press is always doing. There's this great quote, I can't remember who said it, but it was pretty much just like, when the press starts scrutinising the opposition more than the government, you know that you're in trouble. As in, like, you know that your democracy is really, like, turning into a shambles.
That's some profound shit.
It's profound and very, very true.
And yeah, man, like, the opposition, that's weird. It's so obvious, but I just realized, have you noticed how the opposition in this country gets paid out way more than the government?
Yeah. What the hell is that all about? And, like, they're so desperate for leadership challenges. And because Kevin Rudd has made it virtually impossible for there to be a leadership challenge, that they just go, all right, Joel Fitzgibbon has a slight disagreement about the optics of climate change. Leadership challenge.
Dave Andrews disagrees.
Yeah. Is Dave Andrews coming up in the ranks? Can he bring Labor to victory?
Get on the bees.
The bigger question is Dave Andrews real or not? Still getting to the bottom of it. Labor.
Why Dave Andrews is known as Dave Andrews in the media.
The shadowy man behind the scenes controlling Labor. You've heard of Daniel Andrews. You've never heard of Dave.
Wow. I guess, so Jordan, what you're essentially saying is that as a strategy, they try to keep instability in the Labour Party so that they're never able to consolidate and actually get power.
It's one of the many strategies that they employ, but I think the other thing that really annoys me is that you see all of these people on Twitter and stuff that are constantly sitting there and they just regurgitate the exact attack point of the Australian while sitting there and being smug about the Australian. That is the thing that irks and makes me sit back in awe about the propaganda model, that particular point. The fact that you see people sitting there being smug about one side of the press. The other side of the press is saying pretty much exactly the same things. They're just saying it in a way that is pleasing to you as a demographic. And then they just regurgitate pretty much what the entire press really is saying. And so all of them are sitting there saying, Albo can't do it. But do you just remember these exact cunts like fucking, what the fuck's his name?
Bill Shorten.
No, fuckhead on Twitter, like Osman Farouk or whatever his name is. I remember him just mouthing off for months on end just about, Bill Shorten can't do it. Bill Shorten sucks. We need Albo. Soon as Albo's in, Albanese is the worst opposition leader. Just changes like on a dime. All of them do. Whoever the Labor Party is, he's not good enough. Get rid of him. That's always the case.
Well, how about this? Sorry, Mitch, you can go after this. But
go.
You read that Crikey article, right?
Arshad of the year. You know you're talking to the Arshad of the year over here.
No, his accent is right.
And yes, it is.
Racist
It is
Arshad of the
indeed.
year.
So racist.
How many people in the comments know what we're saying? Because I know what you guys are saying.
But okay, so the question was that look, the article says a lot of shit. Whatever his name is, but I guess the gist of the article was, Labor has no story. They don't have anything for the constituency or the people. They can't. They're unable to sell a dream, which is why no one's voting.
It's always Labor's fault, isn't it? It's never the cunts at Crikey. No.
But this guy pretends to be a Labor fan.
As political analyst of head political analyst of Friendlyjordies, is that my title?
Chief political editor.
and
Ali is your trusting apprentice.
Yeah, I was trusting apprentice. and our focus is on Dave Andrews.
Focus
we're getting to the bottom of it.
Who is he and is he real?
Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
real party power.
as chief political editor, as you know,
Slash eel killer.
yeah, dash
Slash eel mongerer. Yes.
it's dash
Eel mongerer slash political mongrel Mislav.
yeah, dash like slaughterer, animal slaughterer, a halal chef.
Hello.
I've done a bit of. I did do some. I watched fucking Albo on Q&A with Hamish McDonald and watched some. I read about Albo's history, and if Albo can't win it for Labor, or doesn't, rather, I shouldn't say can't, because I think he's doing everything right. I think he's killing it. I think he's super likable. I think he's doing everything right. And if he can't, or if he doesn't win it for Labor, no one can. Or at least no one can for a while. It's just going to be a massive dry spell. I mean,
And that's what I think.
what the fuck more do you want? He's a moderate.
Dude,
he's just fucking Bill Clinton.
I'm not saying get rid of Albanese by any means, but once Albanese's stint is done, which will be after 15 years of being dictator, I think Dave Andrews has got it.
Dave Andrews is the silent assassin in the background.
Dave Andrews is not going to take it. Come on.
He's the new Shifty Shorten, isn't he?
But he can't, because it's not very often that politicians move from state to federal, right? That's not that smooth a transition. There's not going to be like Dave Andrews from Victoria, Prime Minister now. I don't think it's going to happen.
You're mistaking Daniel Andrews with Dave Andrews yet again.
Like, this has gone too far. Are you talking about an imaginary person exclusively now?
Well, he might be imaginary, but that's what he wants you to think. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing you he didn't exist.
Listen to this. James MK, Albo is kind of underwhelming. I put him in the Beasley and Crean tier. Beasley was sick. What the hell do you people want? Like, what the fuck does Australia want from a Labor?
Beasley is his favorite.
What does Australia want? Beasley was a empath, man. Same as Albo. Like, these are like hardworking, good people. I'm losing my mind here.
Yeah.
Who the fuck else do they want?
It's amazing because you really did trigger Mislav, because you just named all of Mislav's favourite Labor leaders.
You just did. You actually did.
Beasley, Simon Crean. Well, Simon Crean's my favourite as well.
I read that and I was thinking, that's not going to go down well, Mies.
That's such a bullshit call, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. But like, he's underwhelming. Biden's underwhelming. Are you happy he's in? I think the world needs some more Bidens. What the hell's wrong with underwhelming? Is ScoMo not underwhelming?
ScoMo is actually pretty underwhelming too. I'm just going to put it out there. Like,
I don't understand.
I can understand if you think Albo is underwhelming,
dude. I don't.
But
understand.
you have to admit,
dude,
ScoMo
Albo's appeasing the corporate sector. He's talking down unions. He's appeasing he's also appeasing working class people by not abolishing. He's sticking to like Labor's roots, but he's not doing the shorten of.
You just like it that he mentions the color red less often.
Pretty much. He's doing the balance.
And I think that he'd be up for it as well. If you said we should change the colour, he'd be like, well, I could chuck it at your cabinet and we can have a chat about
Also,
it.
stop
and
doing
guess
the
what?
list,
Then
dude.
fucking
Apparently, we
win.
get a lot of comments. Dude.
Why?
People go like, well, it's completely unnecessary to do a lisp.
But he has one.
Well,
It's
those people are
endearing.
not going to like the fact that I've made an entire character out of Anthony Albanese, and the only character trait he has is that he's got a lisp.
Dude.
But I
I've
like it,
replaced words with...
He
It's
did a
endearing.
really strong. I personally thought it was really emotional and strong speech in the Parliament where he was talking about. It was just one of those moments that got me. He was like, "Prime Minister, do you know that girl whose hand you shake, whose hand you forced to shake? She lives in a van because she can't afford anything." And like I was just looking into talk about pork barreling. The bushfire relief money is only going to Liberal... This isn't a conspiracy. Like, the Blue Mountains...
Well, in New South Wales it is.
Yeah, in New South... But, like, Blue Mountains, you were living there. It was fucking
I don't think
ravaged.
federally they've spent any still.
Zero.
I don't know. Yeah, they still spent nothing.
They asked money for 5 things. Reasonable amount of money. Like,
2
basic
billion.
stuff like getting rid of the weed that comes right after a bushfire season, getting rid of... making a database for some of the trees so that we know exactly what the progress is. They made 5 such requests, right? They got 0 funding for a constituency, the Blue Mountains area, okay, sure, it's labor stronghold, but its entire economy is dependent on tourism.
Yeah.
Like it is
and
one of
it's
the
Blue
prime,
Mountains. It's World Heritage.
Yeah, it's one of the prime candidates to receive bushfire relief. Zero.
You know what's weird though?
Everything got rejected.
But Lithgow's a national seat. And they still probably didn't get shit.
Lithgow, I don't know about
Lithgow,
Lithgow.
yeah, but Blue Mountains is Labor.
Right.
It's a labor
Oh, really?
stronghold.
Yeah.
So you go down that hill and it's just like, welcome to the Nats country.
No, what they're always doing, the whole point of pork
Yeah, that's
barreling is
fun.
you put it into marginal seats that you hold. That's when pork barreling works. If you have a safe seat, they don't get a cent. If you are a safe seat for the opposition, you don't get a cent. You get money if you're a marginal seat.
And Jiggly Bros just said it today too.
Jigglypuff, yeah.
Jiggly.
Yeah, he said that. And he
said it.
just
He was
he
like,
basically
"That's what
outright said it. He was like,
politics
what do you fucking want?
But honestly, if Albo, like, I don't
For something like
understand
the bushfire,
Albo
it's a
hate.
little much. Like, come on. When I was growing up and I looked at Australia, I thought it was a place of wonder. Like, I didn't like. It's kind of disappointing to know that like something like a natural disaster, like the Black Summer,
Still don't give a fuck.
Is
It's
partisan.
fucked up.
Don't
It's
care.
horrible.
Don't care.
It's horrible. It's
You think like
It's beyond partisan.
Eel barreling.
It's just self-serving. That's it.
eel barreling.
Eel barreling. Can we start calling you the Eel Baron?
Yeah, for sure.
eel baron.
But what do you guys think? You like him? I think you're coming around. What do you think of Albo? Does he fucking inspire you
Is
enough?
he disappointing?
Does he inspire you enough to get up and vote like
Well,
ScoMo does?
the fact that he has not, well, the fact that like he's never come out to support a Stalinist takeover is losing some points.
Hey,
in my
Shorten had his time, all right.
book. Shorten.
Honestly, like
And it didn't work.
like I'm all about a moderate centrish that can basically just like like just someone that can your Caesars but just someone that sort of like can a centrist that just does the right thing, and that's him down
Dude,
the line.
I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Scott Morrison is not winning the next elections.
But you know why I don't think he's winning? I'm going to extend the point that I was making last week that if Albanese wins, it's because Scott Morrison pissed off Google. I think that if Albanese wins, it's because he's pissed off the planet. Everyone's angry at him.
Who? Albo?
No, ScoMo.
Oh, right.
Wait, who else is angry at him besides the
The
three of us?
US, China, Great Britain, the EU, all of them fucking hate him.
Right.
And like, like even Boris Johnson, when he was supposed to speak on that climate panel and Boris Johnson was like, who's this muppet coming up on here? Oh, Scott Morrison, he's having a laugh. You're not coming up on there yet.
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know why the Prime Minister of Britain is the guy that was making the eel pie. But look, there was a surprising turnaround where breaking here in Friendlyjordies, he did win leadership from Boris
He's really
Johnson.
The real
Boris Johnson
Dave
is basically
Andrews.
Hugh Jackman. No, not Hugh Jackman. Hugh Grant.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
He is.
He's really
Posh, very posh.
Why?
Yeah.
Dave, the real Dave Andrews. There you go. Exposed.
But yeah, I think that honestly, I'm feeling much better about this election than I was the last one, even though I thought that Labor would squeak through in the last election. But I just remember just everything not working in Bill Shorten's favour. Nothing. This time, I think that actually, as Anthony Albanese said, in the fourth quarter, the wind will be at our back. I do think that the wind is at their back this time. That
As they
Scott
say.
Morrison has Murdoch in his corner, and I think that the international fulcrums are in Anthony Albanese's, and it will be interesting to see in this election which one has more power, because this is the whole thing about who the leader is. And this is what this woman was saying, that I imagine is a retired teacher who lives in the Blue Mountains, the one that just said, I just want there to be a Labor government. I don't care about all these tactics. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who the Labor leader is. I make this point in my stand-up show. What? John Howard had overwhelming magnetism and charisma. It's my job to listen to his speeches for the stand-up shows. I remember listening to him speak and
Respect
thinking,
your opposition. He was a very charismatic man. My favorite.
Charismatic.
A little goblin that I miss.
Charismatic.
Goodbye, John Howard.
sex god.
But
Dude, he was not charismatic. He didn't have an ego. That doesn't mean he's charismatic.
no, that was sarcasm. But
right.
I get it.
But like the thing is, John Howard was so boring to listen to, and it's my job to listen to him. First off, Mislav fell asleep in the car when we were playing his autobiography, and while he was asleep, farted in protest. So his body rejected John Howard's voice.
You're not going to change the channel? Well, I'm going to change the environment a little bit of this car.
Seriously. That happened.
While making that stand-up show, was listening to old interviews with John Howard, and they were so boring that I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to read the transcript. Reading text was better than listening to John Howard. Yeah. And even when, like, the audiobook, usually the audiobook is better than reading, right, in terms of engagement. Yeah. Reading John Howard's book was way better than listening to it.
Because his voice is so
funny.
Shy.
I mean, his voice is funny.
Yeah, but
that's like a testament to how bad your public speaking skills are. That as soon as you speak, the person goes, "Give me the transcript."
Is he from Sydney?
John Howard? Yeah.
Where?
Earlwood boy.
I like Earlwood. Yeah.
And that's the reason that he hates unions so much, and was in the book that if you were paying attention instead of farting.
Yeah, sorry. I know that like 20 hours of straight fucking John Howard on tape is enough for the average man, but fuck,
it was a non-stop barrel of laughs. I do think that it was better than Eddie Murphy's Dangerous or whatever the fuck it's called.
Fuck off.
I think it was really good. But in it he has this point where he was saying, I remember, and you can tell that this is the thing that shaped his entire political views, just like my first memory of politics was my mum pointing to him winning the 96 election at an election party and saying, "You see that, Jordan? That is a bad man." And I reckon that was just, ad infinitum 30 years. But
your mum, she did a number on you. But anyway, go on.
But I remember him just saying, my dad was doing fairly well as a small business owner, owning a mobile self-service petrol station, one of the first self-service petrol stations in Australia. He found it rather difficult to make a profit once the unions unionised his workers, and at that point I realised unions needed to be regulated more effectively. I was 7 years old.
All right, what's your counter?
Like I said, charismatic as fuck.
What's your counter?
I hate unions now.
I'm voting for him. Like, what's your counter?
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about?
I think that...
Jump ships, it's time. Labor sucks, liberal rocks.
Look, maybe that's the experience of it. I would imagine that, the...
certain unions.
Unions. But this is the thing, like... Dude, by the time John Howard was in, the unions were so regulated.
Yeah.
They were like some of the most regulated unions on earth. And then John Howard came in and went, this has not gone far.
Nah, dude, like in all seriousness, he was straight up cancer, wasn't he? Like, let's be real. All right, can we, can we move on to like one topic which I wanted to discuss really badly?
Yes, I will, but I will just say this, that just before we go, it doesn't matter who the leader of the Labor Party is, except for with the one exception, and I truly do believe this, of Kevin Rudd. I think that any other Labor leader, doesn't matter who it is, if the winds are on your back, you will win. It's the same with the Liberal Party. They really are just a standard bearer. They can't have this grand strategy that's just going to make them, sneak from behind or something like that. No. Pretty much all they can do is just Bill Shorten thought, okay, what we'll do is we'll just put all of our policies out and hopefully they'll just filter through to the public. That didn't work. So then Anthony Albanese says, all right, we're not going to put out any policies at all and hopefully that will work.
It will work.
Maybe.
That's
maybe.
what I predict. I predict as well. He's doing everything right.
Chief political correspondent knows a thing or two.
Yeah.
Maybe he should fucking bring an eel into Parliament. Like, don't be scared. We used to eat these when Captain Cook came. Don't be scared, Mr. Prime Minister.
Yes.
No, he's gonna. I mean, but in all seriousness, if the method that he's sticking to now doesn't work, we should just throw in the towel and just move to the country and support shooters and fishers.
But this is the whole thing. This is what that Crikey article was saying. It was just sitting there, as every fucking Crikey article ever says, it's just insecurity masked by smugness. The publication. And...
what a fucking combo.
Yeah, I know.
That's a happy
it is
meal.
pretty much just Newtown in written words. And he was just essentially saying nothing. But the, I guess, slight view of what he was saying was that I just need to tell a story. Tell a story. Tell a narrative. Tell a story. Fucking yada yada story my ass. Everyone always just says these vague things. There's all this like what's it called again? Like couch quarterback or something.
I haven't heard that.
You know the same thing of just like yobbos sitting in like in the stadium or something like that, and being like, he should have passed the ball. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah,
you know, that's everyone. Every fucking writing political commentator. Yeah. That's what they are. They are just pundits.
Yeah.
Everything that they say is always just broad, has no specifics to it. There's no rationale behind it either. It's just an endless onslaught of cliches. And I can remember them saying the exact same things about Beasley.
But like my counter argument to that story thing is, I can almost agree with it. But give me one story that anyone, like right, left, maybe like your extreme right has a story.
Yeah.
The story is like, get rid of immigrants. It's a bad story, but they have a story. But when you're
I'm joking.
But when you're talking about like even center right, where's the fucking story? Their story is business should go on as usual. That's not a fucking story. That's just,
what's Gladys Berejiklian's story? Getting on with the job?
What does that
so
mean?
what these like a lot
What a
of these
brilliant,
like
inspiring
commentators that are supposed to be left, like that crikey comment. I can't remember his fucking name.
I don't either.
I read his article and it was he's
Dave
talking about like there's
Andrews.
no story, but like he's pretending that every other political party has some story. We're still trying to figure this new world out.
And then he's like little shitty justification about, oh, Scott Morrison, everyone can see through him, but like they kind of respect that. See, they always say these fucking stupid things to justify the other stupid shit they're saying. What do you mean? Everyone sees through Scott Morrison, but they respect it. They can see through him because they think that that's what a politician should be. Oh, okay. So you've done extensive polling of the Australian public and you've come to that conclusion, have you? Well, first of all, where the fuck's the polling to begin with? You're just saying things. That's it. Like, I really annoys me that there's just this entire class of pundits that just, their entire job is to just regurgitate cliches and they're not even aware of it, I don't think. I don't even think they're aware of what their piece in the propaganda model is.
No, I think
and they
right.
obviously have no understanding of the propaganda model because he just asides the media's bias on the Labor Party in one sentence and it's just like, so get over it. Yeah, that's a good comeback when nobody is allowing you to state your platform. Maybe the reason that the Labor Party doesn't have a story is they're not allowed to say their story. That might be one of the reasons. Did you notice something that when I was talking to all of the Labor politicians in an extended interview that they're really smart people that have like extensive knowledge of the country and like figures and facts and where it should be going? Mm-hmm. Do you ever hear that in the press?
No. Dude, I'm telling you, like my personal experience. Sorry, like this is legit. My electorate is Craig Kelly's electorate, right?
Yeah.
He's my local.
Is that Lib?
Lib MP. Every election season, Jordan, the lady, this Indian teacher lady who contests against Craig Kelly, it's a strong Liberal seat, but I meet her every election season at the train station. She's passing on leaflets. One time I spoke to her a little bit. She's an extremely intelligent woman that has worked. She's an older lady that's probably worked 3 decades in public service, has done amazing things. And like you can tell that she would be a really, like I would be proud to have her as my MP. She just seems like one of my mom's friends that's like really intelligent and smart and has like a, she seemed, what I'm saying is like, she happens to be Indian, but she seemed like one of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Craig Kelly, on the other hand, is a fucking moron, right? Like the people know about him now because he's been like trending for vaccine. You made a video about him. I know that motherfucker for ages. He's my MP. He's a horrible human being.
What's his credentials? Is just like banker.
No,
it's like furniture salesman.
Yeah.
Doors
like
plus.
Liberal backbench material, which is always real estate agent, worked at that fucking glowing out of business tile store in Parramatta.
Yeah, that's fucked. That's fucked.
Well, he
What
is.
does he
I
know
guess he is
about?
one of someone, but his entire thing. He's also a moron, man. Like he's now famous for pausing on these like conspiracy theories of vaccinations.
Right.
But like everything about him is bad. His take on he's basically like he's Ted Cruz.
Really?
Yeah, he's Ted Cruz
Yeah,
that
he is.
lives in Australia
Yeah.
that no one knew about until like literally 6 months ago.
Shit.
His climate record is fucking shit. Like just one of the worst human beings on earth. But it's sad that, like, dude, he wins it every time. He crushes our electric.
That's really
like,
strange.
Not this time because of the Common Sense Brigade. He will still comfortably win, but it won't be an absolute rinse. I think that I do actually want to know what her name is, and I want to start spreading memes for it because I think it might be a little more effective than handing out pamphlets at the train station.
And
like
Coles and local Coles.
Poor lady,
she's every
man.
dude. She's doing her stick.
But see, I like
Dude,
that.
that's really sad. That's the only
two
two people that I've ever seen doing that or heard of doing that is that lady and Tony Abbott. That's it. Which is why, again, I'm really sad that Tony Abbott lost his electorate. Because if any electorate should be Liberal, it's that one. And the fact that he used to stand there at the ferry just being like, hey, remember me? I used to be Prime Minister, you know. That's nice, Tony. Have a good trip.
Just in
Just
Killara.
stop at Balmain, get some bugs.
But he got booted out by an independent.
Yeah.
Come on, it was his time to go.
Tony?
How is
No, it's never Tony Abbott's time to
How are
go.
our policies even different? I bet they weren't that different.
No, it was just she said, I think that climate change is a big issue.
well,
Can you do anything about it? No. Just take one for the team North Sydney and elect Tony Abbott.
Bring back Joe Hockey.
No. Joe could fuck off.
Yeah, Joe
Tony
could fuck
Abbott
off.
needs to be in there. I like the fact that he just looks like one of those wise aliens in a movie that comes down and is just like, oh, I built the pyramids, you know.
Dude, Joe Hockey reminded me of, like, every young Liberal I met at uni.
Joe Hockey?
They're all Joe Hockeys.
Oh, they are.
Joe Hockey was North Sydney, but now it's like some guy who's like, I think he's like a gay doctor, and he's like just another stand in, like, just another back.
That's the whole thing. Those rich seats, Wentworth, whatever the fuck that one is at French's Forest or whatever. Oh, it's called North Sydney.
Yeah.
They are the most detestable seats in the country, but I do think that they do deserve to go to Labor candidates. Even the one for Hornsby, like, POV North Shore or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
Those ones should be Liberal.
Right.
But it's just the worst of the worst when it comes to the Liberal Party, and that's why I really think that Tony Abbott was voted out, and it's because it just didn't have that he's not one of us feel about him. That man should be in Hughes. Tony Abbott should be in Hughes.
Tony Abbott would kill
it
really?
in Hughes.
Kill it.
Yeah.
So wait a
he
sec.
shouldn't be in French's
Wait a
Forest.
sec.
Malcolm Turnbull, that kind of ilk.
Yeah.
Dave Sharmers, they should be there. But
Joe
they're
Joe
the worst of
Hopkins.
the worst when it comes to the Liberal Party. Again, because I think that when you look at Tony Abbott, clearly, sense of civil duty and, clearly has convictions and beliefs and wanted to enter politics for the noble aspiration of making sure that the Queen is still on the $2 coin. and I can stick with that. I can groove on that. But just people like Malcolm Turnbull, people like that doctor or
Hockey,
whatever
yeah,
that's
Dr.
just like,
Zimmerman.
I'm gay. It's just
Yeah.
like... You suck. Like they're just the
Panthera. Don't take that out of context. Not because she's gay, just because she's a...
No, but it's just like that's their like
backbencher.
it's always the same thing. Or like Dave Sharma just being like, I believe in climate change, and then they just go into the Liberal Party and then soak up these safe seats.
It's
But
more just like
they pretend to have some kind of conviction or something.
Man, you know what?
It's just
I've been
it's
like-
nothing.
It's the green
Thinking-
syndrome, right?
Huh?
It's the green syndrome where it's like, I'm an ideologue. Can you implement any of your policies? No, not by a long shot. Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. The wets aren't that. At least I like the thing about Tony Abbott or something like that are ideologues and they go into the Liberal Party. They stand for something. But I swear to God, people like Malcolm Turnbull do not stand for anything. They're just corporates.
Turnbull.
Whatever the fuck is the thing that they're supposed to say is the thing that they say.
That's
Wait,
what
so-
Wentworth wants, though. That's their guy. Remember how when he kind of pissed them off just a little bit because of being under pressure from like your Craig Kellys and stuff for the refugees. Just in spite, Wentworth elected that independent doctor lady.
Wait,
for like 6 months. And then next elections, she won the by-election, and the next election, fucking Dave Sharma won, right?
Yeah.
Wait, so
And look at it. If you
Turnbull's
look
not
at it,
in-
they're just always the lowest of the low. Tony Abbott, during the bushfires, out there on the front line, holding the hose, didn't want any media coverage for it. Dave Sharma, what did he do? Oh, COVID's hit. Yeah, okay. We're doing a Qantas bailout, are we? Yeah, I'll just buy a million shares in Qantas. Oh, look at that. It just went up. It just went up by like fivefold. I fancy that. I'll just sell now.
Dave Sharma's like half Indian, half Israeli, right? That's his shtick?
I think so. Something like that.
Well, that's just a bad combo for a package anyways. Like, what are you doing? You're just trying to make me hate
Ali's
you?
worst nightmare.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So wait, Turnbull doesn't have his seat anymore?
No.
What? Dude,
Dude, what are you doing?
All right.
I thought he could still have it. He can't still have it.
What do you think?
Who do you think is the Prime
What, he
Minister?
just took extended vacation?
No, I thought that he's. Had the
I
seat
thought he was
whole
the Prime
time.
Minister, isn't he?
No, I thought he was just like, that job's over. Back to the seat. Yes, that's what I thought.
No, his was, that job's over. Time for mojitos.
Tony actually did that. Tony was the
Tony
only
did.
Yeah,
one
and he
who-
lost it.
Well,
lost
he
it.
shouldn't have done.
So is Abbott? What does Abbott do now? He's out of politics. Is that right?
I think actually,
isn't he
no,
like
doesn't
the
he go to...
head of Indigenous Affairs? Or something?
Oh, of course.
Is he? I thought
They
he
give
was
it
in
to
England.
him.
Yeah,
That's
they
not a
gave it
good
to
idea to
him.
give that to him.
I thought he was in England, just like,
In
just all of a
England?
sudden being like, all right, I'm just going to teach the British what about Brexit.
Really?
Really?
What the hell is
I don't
he
know, I don't
about
know.
Brexit?
The last I heard, he was heading some. It's a big fuck you to the Indigenous community, but he was heading some Indigenous department for the government, and also like once one of the highest civilian awards or something. I don't know, something like that happened. But anyways,
Politics is a weird game,
boys,
mate.
miss. Here's another thing. Here's what's been happening, and I want to talk about it. Do you know like Rihanna?
Do I like Rihanna?
No.
Yeah, I know
Oh,
Rihanna.
but
yeah.
we all like Rihanna. Come on.
Right.
But
I
like,
hate Rihanna. I want to get that on record. She is my most Don't clip this out of context. There's nothing to clip out of context. I do just hate her.
look, Rihanna's stocks went sky high in my books because
Rihanna gate.
she is fucking with the Indian government.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Tell me, what do you mean?
So there's these farmers protests that are happening in India. I want to talk about the farmers protests, but it's got an insane amount of attention recently because Rihanna, all it takes is
Yeah, I
for
know.
like a superstar
It's
to
so
go on
dumb.
Twitter.
It's so dumb.
And all she did was she attached an article about the protest and she wrote, why aren't we talking about this? This created a huge commotion in India. Greta Thunberg, remember the one that, and she also did the same thing. She's like in solidarity with Indian farmers. The Indian police filed an FIR against her and they want to arrest her.
Who?
The Indian government.
Thunberg.
Delhi
that
police.
amazing?
Delhi police. So what's happened is, it's crazy. These farmers protests, like, farmers have literally blocked arteries to Delhi and the capital, and they're asking to repeal these 3 new laws, and they're saying like, we've come here with like 6 months worth of dal. We're just gonna fucking chill here. They've just been chilling there because they want to repeal these laws, which is pretty crazy. Like they've paralyzed Delhi.
What do they want higher wages or something?
Well, what the British, the Indian government has done is they've passed these new laws. They've basically deregulated the market, and there's this whole sort of story of how this came into being. But basically, the Indian government is now saying that corporations can deal directly with farmers.
Okay.
To buy the crops, as opposed to the government being a guarantor that have like fixed prices.
I see. Isn't that
This will explain to it won't make sense to any Indian, but it will make complete sense to every Australian. The reason why this farmers protest is happening is because India went straight from Whitlam to John Howard without a Paul Keating in between.
Say that again. Say that sentence one more time.
India
Yes.
went straight from Whitlam to a John Howard without Paul Keating in between.
So it's just capitalism unhinged.
Yeah, what happened was like in the 70s, India had one of the worst
Governments.
droughts. Like they basically had no food.
Gotcha. Right.
They literally had no food.
I'm very
They were
ignorant on this subject, unfortunately. But yeah, go on.
huge population, basically no food. The crops were horrible. So what they did was the entire government apparatus was like, all right, how do we fix this? They asked Lyndon Johnson if he could help out. Lyndon Johnson provided expertise and these new genetically modified seeds, which were kind of new at the time, even for the US. And Indians, they started like planting that, and the crop prices fucking skyrocketed. No, sorry, the crop produce skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So they, instead of like not having enough crops for their own population, they're now at a point where they're creating 3 to 4 times more than their population. And their population is 1 billion, so they're producing a lot of fucking crops. But what's happened is that initially in the 70s, when they wanted to encourage people to farm, they came up with basically what would be subsidies or guarantors that if you aren't able to sell your crop, the government will buy it at a fixed price so that you don't have to worry about what happens, keep growing this stuff. And it really, really worked. And the way they did that was that they organized this middle sort of management that would basically take the crops from the farmers, and they would sell it to either other corporations or government would buy it in case that there wasn't enough. The Indian government has now come in and has basically just said, fuck all of that. Farmers deal directly with corporations, and that way they'll get a better price, which is completely false. Because
Definitely won't.
they definitely will. The other thing that a lot of people
Right.
don't talk about, which is one of the reasons why India is in this situation, it's hard for like a lefty like us, for me, or to admit this, but one of the things that is causing this problem was that they divided up the lands and gave it to farmers. Like, there was a land reform, and there used to be huge, like in Australia, for example, there's huge land holdings that these farmers that we talk about, they've got huge swaths of land that they're producing, and that's why they're able to like sell it to China, other Eastern, even the US, and at an affordable price, because there's just economies of scale. There's just so much. In India, around
Like
this,
1/16 of an acre.
yeah, because they had massive land holdings that were part of these like barons that would treat their farmers horribly. And so then the socialist government came in and they divided up that land and they gave it to farmers, which was, I thought that was one of the greatest things you could ever do. And it was successful. It really helped the farmers. It actually increased the produce as well because farmers were more motivated. But what's happened now is that, and this is a problem particular to India, that and sorry, this might trigger some Indians, but like I genuinely believe this, because of their caste system, you only have one profession that you let your family. So a farmer in a village cannot switch to any other profession easily, particularly if that profession is for a higher caste person. So social mobility is really hard. So all of these divided up land, they kept having kids. Like a farmer would have a large number of kids because he wanted hands for the farm. And now there's a lot of people with some of these farmers, like 85% of the farmers that are protesting have land holdings that's less than 2 hectares. That's fuck all. In a very competitive world market now, where the way you are able to, like the way Australia is able to sell a lot of its crops is, we've got the best farming techniques. We've got, but also like we don't flood our lands. We use sprinkle system. We use water really efficiently. We're a rich country, right? So we can do this sort of stuff. Like we know exactly what's the best way to produce all of this stuff, and we create like insane amounts of crops, and we sell it to the world, including India. And India's in that situation where like they're just saying that, and because they were subsidizing all of this stuff, they were giving minimum guarantee for crops. They just thought that they're losing money. And so fuck all of this like socialized system. Every individual farmer now has to deal directly with corporations. And farmers are afraid that they're going to get fucked over because, and rightly so, they're saying like, look, we're a small farmer. We're already in debt. You know, the highest suicide rate in India is amongst farmers.
Same as
Cunts
Australia.
keep killing themselves.
Same as Australia, right? Australia's
Yeah, apparently farming is just one of those
It is.
suicide-prone professions.
Dude, it's a lonely job.
It's a lonely
dude,
job.
you bankrupt. Your wage is based on rain. For
Man,
fuck's sake.
Indian farmers are fucking selling kidneys to like pay a debt that's $700. You know, like it's
But surely the margin
intense.
between like socialized and private isn't that big. Like,
Wouldn't be if the Indian government's supporting it.
The Indian
There's
government,
no welfare system there, so it must be
Right.
fuck all.
And that's why I'm saying like India went straight from Whitlam to John Howard without having a poll Keating in between. Something needs to be done about the way their crop system or their crop market works. It's true that it's really based on a old 1970s paradigm where there was a food shortage and their government was subsidizing it. But like without someone like Keating in between that can like work it around for the farmers as well as the corporations, you just had someone like Modi who is just strong arming the entire situation, and he's saying like, no, you'll be better off with these massive corporations because you'll cut off the middlemen who are corrupt and all that shit. But like,
is it pretty much the same deal in Pakistan?
Different in Pakistan, much less of a problem, even though Pakistan's productivity is low. But Pakistan, because it was capitalist from the get-go, they never did the land reform. So there's still large land holdings. Weirdly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you still have feudal lords there.
Dude, I have feudal. Some of my friends were
I forgot about that. I forgot that the Prime Minister of Pakistan has to just like every now and then just be like, okay, that was a very good meeting with the Prime Minister of Tokyo. Okay, now it's time to send in Lord Farquaad and Lord Earlston. And then like in will chime in just like 2 knights. It'll just sit down. And have to negotiate with them. Hello, gentlemen, did you keep your swords at the door? Oh, no, they're in here. Okay, this negotiation is going to go pretty one-sided.
And Lord Farquaad, how can we lower saffron prices? Ting!
No, but like the Pakistan have their own version. Like they're like, because the entire parliament is filled with like these landlords that have huge swaths of land. They just sit there and like, okay, so new law, government will buy every sugar cane that I own. So there's like a fucking mafia. They've got their own problems too. But like what I'm saying is like India has Pakistan is just inefficient and corrupt. Like they can, if they wanted to work around it and if they just pulled out their socks, they could have. But India is not in that situation at the moment. Like this whole, I think they'll backtrack.
From a dum-dum, coming from a dum-dum, how many jobs are regulated by the government in Australia? Like what industry is regulated in Australia?
Pretty much every industry. Everything is regulated in Australia.
Really?
Well, everywhere everything's regulated.
Yeah, true.
Like the Indian market for farmers is still regulated.
Yeah.
It just depends how much regulation and what regulation.
So like, for instance, hospo is regulated in that there's
there's OH&S standards. That's one.
Sure, and you get like time and a half.
I think I'm going to take this call. 1 second.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay,
Go for it.
all right.
Bad, but like,
We'll just take it on here. We'll talk about the Indian farming market, and
take it over.
it'll be a breeze.
I'll take the stride on this one here. So,
See, look at the unprofessionalism of your apprentice, Mislav. Unbelievable. He's not ready for the big leagues.
He's never killed an eel in his life. So India has 2 options. No, so
sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's just like I guess comparatively, what's regulated in America? Because I'm trying to get a more broad perspective of this in terms.
Again, everything's regulated in America.
So what? Okay, give me an example of a country that has very little regulation in terms of.
Well, one of the least regulated countries on Earth, I think, is
Jamaica?
Barbados.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Is one of those tropical
Yeah.
countries.
I missed what you guys talking about. Like everything is regulated. It's the amount of regulation and also like regulation for whom. Sometimes things are regulated to benefit the corporations. Like, in my opinion, this certainly is. Like the Indian situation, it's definitely aimed at helping corporations because corporations are saying, why are we...
We can determine the... But, okay.
No, but also like they're like, why are we buying expensive shit? Because from their point of view, this is what the Indian corporations think. They're like, the Indian government, you're fucking up the market. You come here, you start promising them a minimum thing, which drives up the price for us. You start hiring these bureaucrats that have like all of this middleman stuff, which is difficult for us. I'm going to just start buying crops from Australia because even though they have a way better standard of living, it's somehow cheaper. That's from their perspective.
But, okay, yeah. But well, I guess what I'm saying, what I'm curious about is like, and I'm not saying, I'm not necessarily like the free market can be good and bad. And it seems most often than not, it's bad for a lot of people, but to a degree. But I guess what I'm saying is like, couldn't this be an opportunity for the free market to not, like some of those farmers could make more money. Not less money.
Well, that's the whole thing. If you are enterprising, you will make more.
Yes.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, you're right. Enterprising, you will make more.
But why is that a bad thing?
But also, if you're a big farm, if you have a large farm, you will earn more. But if you're a fucking shitty 2-hectare farm, you're just going to be at the mercy of your overlord.
True.
The prices will drop because then they'll come at like the equilibrium. And you know what's the worst thing about this? one of the reasons why India instituted these new laws was because of us, because World Trade Organization, because of that stupid moronic view that they have free market is good for everything, have been pressurizing India to take off this subsidy. When they say that, what they're saying is like they're basically taking away money from some of the poorest people in the world in the garb of free market, because they're like, from the World Trade Organization point of view, is that by, again, putting these subsidies, you're reducing international liberalization, because from their angle, if Bangladesh is producing wheat at a lesser price than India, then India should buy wheat from Bangladesh.
Right.
And they're
So
just like, they
pure
live in this
capitalism.
ideological world where they think that's going to be good. But there's a
about those
lot of
people?
fucking, like, 80%, it's a ridiculous amount, like 70 to 80% of the entire workforce in India is somehow connected to the agricultural sector.
Really?
Yeah. Because a lot of their manufacturing is also manufacturing of crops.
Of
so like
course.
things like textiles and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So it's a huge chunk of land. And like most of the people are in the farming sector in India, and their life is just progressively getting worse. Like,
Surely India has a big like tech fucking industry too.
big, but like,
Yeah,
not-
but I
not
doubt
gonna
that the,
rival-
like rice farmers are going to be moving into that.
Why not?
Well, you know what? Odd that you should say that, because I'm pretty sure that was the finance minister of Pakistan's view.
Hey, this guy speaks to me. The guy that doesn't want to talk about KFC, right?
such an idiotic thing to assume that like these poor farmers, once their like price goes down with the free market, they're like, I guess you know what's really working? High-end silicone microchips. That's what I'm going to start doing from now onwards.
Get him an iPhone. No,
And leaving aside the fucking cultural barriers that Indian society has.
Also, it would cost
where
a
there'd
lot.
be like their neighbors might kill them from choosing a profession that was.
This is like just advice in that climate, because now I'm just thinking about what would I do if I was one of those Indians. But this is just because I have the knowledge of what happened in Australia. But something similar happened to like the banana industry or something like that. But pretty much Coffs Harbour got fucked over. You know what the enterprising ones did? They just said, oh, okay, we'll just start farming blueberries. We'll start farming macadamia nuts or
still
something.
farming.
So if you start farming something niche
yeah. Oh, it's
on
like
that little
specialised,
teeny
like
piece of
truffles or
land,
something.
yeah, something really
Like,
specialized.
I swear, most of northern New South Wales is just producing macadamia now. Macadamia nuts.
Yeah, well, they stole it from us.
But could they do that? Could these Indian farmers sort of just be like, we're moving to more high-end shit like saffron or like certain spices?
They'd have to buy the seeds in the first
But
place, which I
also, like,
imagine
they
would be
can't
really
afford
hard.
it. Like what
Yeah.
Jordan is saying, yes.
yeah.
Like if you're enterprising, then it will be good for you. Like you might end up making more money.
But then,
But then that's not for
That's just
most of the people. Most of the farmers will
yeah.
actually suffer from this.
And it is. This is what I was talking on a broader. This isn't really. This is just more a philosophical thing. But I was talking about this to you earlier to tie it in back to the eels. It's like all these eel places are like, hey, we can't afford the rent yet. It's all going out. This is gonna be the last time you can have jelly deal. What a fuck. And like the downside to capitalism is that.
You can't have jelly deal
Well,
as
sort of
easily
it
in the
prices-
East End.
It seems to me, yes, it seems to me that it prices out. It prices out more niche.
Mislav gets passionate.
It prices out more niche industries for cheap. Like everything will become Starbucks. It's the same theory where it's like those Indian farmers will go for like they'll go for whatever's the cheapest. Whatever's essentially what's a monoculture, that's why Monsanto is so rich, because they're just like, yeah, people want these 4 fucking things. Sure, in the West there is.
You know what? They
there
don't
are
even want those
specialised-
4 things. It's just America has those subsidies for those 4
America
things.
also has
and they have
Right.
just huge surpluses.
Really?
That's
Apparently,
our
there's
gripe
just
with the
entire
US. We
dumps
hate
of
that.
butter
Sorry?
in the US.
Say that again.
They just make rubbish tips for butter.
Yeah.
So the government just buys it and goes, okay, we do not need that much for Walmart, and then just makes, I guess, just fill the Grand Canyon with milk.
Well, that's
So
funnily enough, that's what. Here's another. Like, because this is something that needs to be known for someone that's following this farms thing. That's what like India does too. All of that, the subsidized crops that they buy from farmers that weren't able to sell it to other places. They take that and they take all of that crops, and they have done something in 2014. They came up with the Food Security Act, where the bottom 80 million Indians, who are just like the poorest of the poor, right? Just cannot afford shit, like the ones
lot
that
of
you
people.
see on TV. they give them out. There's like government stores, and they go there and they give them free for dal, rice, wheat, all that shit. And that comes from the
I want to be a poor
oversupply.
Indian. That sounds mad. I could live off that.
Jesus.
cannot.
You basically are a poor Indian.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except
You
for
live like one.
You just want lettuce back. So, and so all of that crop that the government buys at the subsidized rate to help the farmers goes to the poorest people in India. And by
Right.
these laws, they're going to stop doing that. So one of the consequences, not only is it fucking over farmers, but where are you going to get all the fucking crops that you give to the 80 million poorest people in your country?
So do you think
It's one of those things that works.
Do you think the free market's
yeah.
a myth? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's an absolute myth.
100%.
Absolute
The free market
myth.
is perfect
Commies.
till things are going good. Once it goes bad, then the free market is completely incapable of
Yeah, that's
handling
true.
that.
That's true. That's true.
You know where the
Yeah.
free market might exist? No, but even then, you've got the regulation. You've got the heaviest regulation. That's stupid.
What?
I was
Like
just going to be
Stalin.
like, cocaine.
I think in porno.
But it's so regulated that it's illegal.
what? Cocaine.
Coke.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of an industry. I was thinking maybe the black market, but the black market would have less regulation and just one blanket regulation, which is you can't do this.
Yeah. Well, and in a way, it's the freest because they just ignored that. But
Yeah,
that
when-
is very sad, though. That is very sad. And look, I don't think it's unreasonable to want to like feed the bottom poorest 80 million of your fucking.
And like
country.
if someone from India is getting triggered, because I understand that, look, there's a reason why they're trying to arrest Greta. It's a
who's triggered? Is this a big? Is this a
dude,
is
it's
this a big
it's
issue?
so huge. Like apparently in India, if you say that you're like with the farmers, you will very casually be labeled a traitor.
Wow.
Like people are saying that you're a terrorist if you're doing that. Like there's this Bollywood actress that's like fucking famous, and she's going on Twitter and she's like calling Rihanna. She's paying at Rihanna heaps, and she's calling her like a moron that doesn't know shit. And she's like, you're all just like, she was saying like, all you want to do is for China to take us over, like they're doing with your own stupid country in the U.S.
Shit.
Yeah, sounds like our audience.
Yeah, sounds like our audience.
I'm with yous.
The mole on the inside,
it's a
our
real-
Bollywood actress.
It's a real hot button issue, and it's like apparently you can get arrested for supporting the farmers right now. But what I want to say to those people that believe that, I agree with you. Like the current way that the system was set up is not going to last long. It was meant for the 70s, and it was meant for certain circumstances that you need to change.
Yeah, but
you need to change it in a better way. Like you need to have your priorities right. If all you can think about is your fucking big ass corporations, then this is not going to work. That's what I'm saying. Like you went straight from Whitlam to John Howard. You needed a fucking Paul Keating in between.
You're right.
That's able to make it work for the farmers too.
So what would be a good middle ground? Like maybe just subsidize less. Just that.
Subsidize less, or actually create a regulation.
No,
body.
that's what Keating would have done, I reckon.
Yeah.
He would have gotten rid of the regulation, and then he would have installed new regulations that were saying that we're putting this in, but corporations have to give us a grain guarantee or something like that.
That would be a good solution.
A grain guarantee, as in they can't abandon.
If the
farmers.
government,
So basically, like the all the excess grain that the corporations aren't using, he'd just be like, you have to put it at these food depositories or something.
Also create a dispute resolution mechanism where the corporations aren't able to muscle these poor farmers, right? That's the big thing. Right now, the thing, the protection that the Indian government is giving them, well, you sign a contract, and if you have a problem, you go to the court. A poor farmer versus rich corporations. Who do you think has an upper hand in that court? Like you need governments to like guarantee. Basically, you need some like a big brother for those farmers to like muscle the corporations when need be. That you can't just like fucking abuse these farmers.
So a free market person would just like Gavin McInnes would just be like, the small farmers are lazy. They just want their free check. That's what he'd say, right?
I bet you there is an Indian Gavin McInnes saying that right now.
Oh, there's
How
so
good would that
many.
be? And what's with every Bollywood this is getting old. Let's come up with a new dance move.
They do. They are.
Tell you
saying
what,
that.
like that guarantee was built for the 70s, and so was this.
I shouldn't laugh.
On a funny
it's
note,
very serious.
India hates Greta Thunberg these days. Fucking hate her. They want her in jail.
So, but it's interesting. That
Well, not India. At least the police.
But it's
the
interesting
government.
that the government is so on the side of just sort of letting down the farmers, because it's like It doesn't seem very compassionate. It doesn't seem very
It's not
compassionate.
because they're why because they're too evil. Like
Well, the government's
back
evil?
in the day, farming or like primary sector of farming used to contribute close to like fucking 60 to 70% of the entire GDP. Now for India, farming accounts to like maybe 15 to 20%.
Shit.
So they're like, fuck it.
I see.
And also, they this is how I bet you some of these ones are probably thinking is like, look, even if they fucking die, we'll just fucking import grain because and they're not wrong. Like it might be cheaper in the international market than because they keep subsidizing.
so
it.
wrong.
So they're just like from their perspective, they're like, who cares? We're covered from all bases. They die. They.
You know what I'd do if it was one of those farmers? I'd come up with some kind of like hippie commune and just be like, we'll just trade the green ourselves. Meow.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's India already.
Yeah, well,
halfway there.
Well, that's the problem. That they don't want that. They don't want to trade them themselves. They want a government institution to be able to buy the grain from them.
Damn,
that's
that's
what
the
the government
ultimate
is
free
saying.
market.
Like they're
Wow.
like, well, do it yourself.
You
huh?
just explained what they are doing. They are doing a hippie market thing. Dude, well, they are doing that. If they did a
the
hippie
government
market,
is saying like, you
government's
just
not
sell it
involved.
yourself.
Dude,
Like
just
we
selling
don't have
themselves.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Find a corporation.
Yeah, but that is
buy
what
it.
I'm saying is just don't sell to a corporation.
Dude, why don't
just
they
sell
eat-
it amongst
Okay,
yourselves
you
and have
should
the
create-
subsistence
yeah, dude,
lifestyle.
How about this?
Just make it the beach.
Have
The
it-
movie
dude,
The Beach.
But like
Yes,
from their
just eat the
perspective,
grain.
they'll say to Jordan, "We've been doing that for fucking thousands of years.
Yeah.
it's
We'll
new
go back
for
to that.
you. This is what we were
True.
doing.
We want iPhones.
Yeah,
and
we want
cars.
iPhones now,
Dude,
bitch.
if it was us,
Oh, is that what this is all about? iPhones, is
well,
it?
no, but they want like to be able to. They want an income, but they could just eat the grain. God, we're such cunts.
Well, even if that was the case, surely you just come up with your own, kind of like what they have here, your own farmers' co-ops.
Yeah,
That's what you're gonna have to move to.
But that's a very like rich person thing, isn't it?
No.
no. Well,
No,
it's
farmers'
just
co-ops are for
unionizing,
like
yeah.
poor dairy farmers.
So what? They just like we'll trade with each other in terms of goods and services.
No, what they can't, you know what it is? A co-op is just another word for unions, but it's because they're farmers, so they're just like, yeah, not having any of that.
Oh, so what
It's
are
a
they-
co-op,
so-
okay?
so what are they
It's
do-
just like pretty much that guy that makes the jelly deal in Britain just being like, we don't use the G word in here. This isn't gravy, this is liquor. It's gravy, dude. Not in here it is. I'll die over that, or you saying that Arsenal isn't that good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. It was a splendid conversation.
Jesus Christ,
Please
yeah.
become a patron.
Yeah, for more on
Join
on liquor.
Patreon, Friendlyjordies podcast Patreon. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you guys for the upload. Jordan, do you want to say goodbye?
Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate the fact that there was, I think, 900 people listening to a story of Mislav gutting an eel.
Nearly
You do
900.
realise that there are people that do that day in, day out. They got thousands of eels a day.
I didn't know
But
that.
everyone's sitting there going, that was very brave.
I
of
know,
you,
it's so
Mislav." But
pathetic.
I cannot
Yeah,
sit there
yeah, true.
and say that you're a wimp.
Yeah, you really can't. You can't. Don't get on your fucking high horse now, Mr.
There's no high horse for
Crying
me.
outside.
I should be that sire that gets on his back as you get up on your high horse. I'm just your stool from now on. I am truly in awe of your fish gutting skills.
Yeah. Well, look.
The knife goes in, the guts come out, and that's what Friendlyjordies Corporation is all about.
Who's the look?
All right. Thank
yeah.
you, Miss Love. You want to say something?
Yeah, I'm as big a national icon as Don
Huey.
Bradman and Farlap for killing the eel. So, but if you want to support this national icon,
Yeah,
just come
your
on
moral
Patreon.
high
Come on
horse
Patreon.
is the equivalent of Don Bradman riding Farlap.
That's
how high you are.
There you go. He could have been a jockey. He was short. Join us on Patreon. It's been fun. We have fun here, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, we're not cancelled this week.
Bye, guys.